Subscribe to this podcast to get exclusive access to the after show Shooting the Breeze. So today we have Jeff Bray. He's an author, and he is going to talk about his book today and tell us a little bit about himself. And so why don't we start out with that question? Tell us about yourself and what you are currently doing.
Okay, I am Jeff Bray. I go by Jeff S. Bray to the writing world. I am a freelance writer and also a author, and I pretty much do write for their living, and been doing that for probably the better part of 2.5 years now. And I'm currently in the middle of writing my fourth novel now, and getting ready for my next novel to come out in probably about a couple weeks right now. And what were you wanting me to talk about right now?
You can just tell about yourself and what you're currently doing. So you're a writer. And so are they fiction novels or are they nonfiction?
I write across the board here. I write my first novel was a suspense novel. My second one was kind of a love story, and my latest novel is going to be a crime thriller that's coming out in a couple of weeks. So it's kind of it's all over the board here. So it's pretty interesting what God's led me to write. So it's kind of across the board. So it's a very interesting road that I've been on.
Cool. I like Michael Connelly as one of my go-to authors. So yeah, he's definitely in that crime thriller kind of genre. Did you want to share a little bit about your testimony with us and kind of where God's been taking you?
Oh gosh, it's pretty interesting where God has taken me from. I've always loved to write since I was young, and I've always written in some fashion. It started off with poetry, and then but kind of love dove type of stories back then. But God has always had an opportunity for me to write, and in some fashion or another. And I've always said, oh, I would love to be a writer. And even through high school and even as an adult, I've always had some way of writing. But I've always put it on the shelf, never really considered it or doing it for a living. But I've always prayed, hey, God, I really want to do this for a living. I would love it. And then I was over the road trucker. Was my latest way of earning money. And oh God, I would love to do this for a living. I would love it. Always prayed, God, I want to be a full-time writer. Always prayed it. Never really thought that God would answer my prayers. But through the powers that be, I was at home one evening and I had a seizure. And for some reason, I don't know why that had happened with me, but God opened that door, and it eventually led me to not being able to drive anymore, and I started having that ability to be able to write more. And as during that time of driving and everything like that, I was writing more. Had a side job of writing for different companies and everything like that as a freelance writer. And so I was driving on the road, and then after I was done driving, I was writing on the side and everything, like doing little odd jobs and everything like that. And like I was saying, during that whole time of driving and everything, I was praying, hey, God, give me this opportunity. I would love to be able to write full time. Never really thinking that God answers prayers. And just driving and writing and driving and writing. Hey, God, give me the opportunity to write full time. Never really thinking that something like that would happen. But all of a sudden, I was not driving anymore. I'm thinking, well, wait a second. Now I'm not able to drive anymore. So now I'm at home. So having that opportunity, I started to write more and write more and not write more. And then having that emptiness of not driving, I started to feel it, and all of a sudden I was writing all the time. So now I'm writing all the time.
And so do you still have seizures, or is that medication help that?
The medication that I have does limit them, but I don't have full epileptic seizures like people imagine. People that have seizures like convulsive seizures, fall on the ground, and that sort of thing. They're called focal aware seizures, to where I'll be sitting here and I'll kind of like lose focus, and then all of a sudden I'll regain focus and everything. And so they put me in a position to where, I mean, I've lost my license. I'm not able to drive anymore, even my personal vehicle. So, I mean, I was like, I was saying I was an over-the-road trucker. So I had done that probably for the last, before I lost my license for 3 years, I think it was. So, I mean, I lost that job. I mean, I lost the ability to do that. I lost the ability to drive a personal vehicle. Well, I mean, they didn't fully take my personal vehicle license, but I just chose not to. I mean, it was safety reason. I mean, not only for me, but for my kids and my wife. I just said, no, I'm not going to be able to do that anymore.
Yeah. And I know, like you said, you'd want to be a writer for a long time, and God does tend to use all these times of struggle and trial to help us grow, and gives us waiting periods where we are taught patience, so we get to the point where we're actually ready to do these things and ready for the next phase of our lives. And do you feel that this may have had something to do with not being able to be a full-time writer earlier? Were you not ready, or do you feel more ready now?
Yes, I think God allows us to go certain periods of our lives. I mean, I've always feel that I've always said, well, I mean, I should have been able to write a long time, dragging my thinking that, man, if I had just started sooner in my life, how much further I could be as a writer. I mean, man, look where I am now. I mean, I've got 2 published novels. I'll have 2 more published this year. I've got 4 children's novels. That's another thing I didn't mention to you earlier. I mean, I've got all this going on, and I've got a freelancing career. I mean, imagine if I had done this 10 years ago, where would I be today? Mm-hmm. But I mean, I always think, well, God has us go through certain stages of our lives. I just wasn't ready for it 10 years ago. I mean, I wasn't ready for it 20 years ago. All the stuff that I've gone through in my life has prepared me for where I was at that moment when I started having those seizures, to get to the point of where I was able to write the way I am today. So yeah, God has stages of our lives. I just wasn't ready for it at that point 20 years ago. So yeah, I think that God has us in certain stages. Yes.
Yeah, it's funny how God just has this plan, and he knows what's best for us and where we're going. And we sometimes just can't see it at the time.
Right.
So tell us about your last book that you wrote, The Little Reminders of Who I Am.
That there is about a food critic, and he pretty much falls in love with one of his a girl who works at one of the diners he reviews. So, and then she has certain issues within her life that they work through. So basically that's what it's about.
Was there an inspiration for that novel, or?
Basically that comes through as most of this, actually all the stuff that I write from comes from dreams that I have.
Oh, cool.
So yeah, I have dreams. That's another big thing about me, is I have a lot of dreams, and everything that I write, all the novels that I have, are based upon dreams. So I take those to the core dream, and I take that with that, and then I write basically, and then all the stuff that happens in those dreams are based upon whatever God leads me to add to that dream. So
that's really cool. And where can we find your books online?
Everything can be found on my website, which is momentsfortheheart.com, or even jeffsbrayauthor.com. Both of those go to the same website. And also, yeah, you could do that, or amazon.com. Everything can be found on amazon.com. Yes.
Yeah, Amazon's great. They have
Yes, yes. Amazon,
everything.
also Barnes and Noble, and any major bookseller.com. Any of the major booksellers, my books can be found on.
Awesome. Um, so just to change gears a little bit before we get into your epilepsy, what was it like being a trucker and being on the road all the time?
Oh my goodness, I miss it so much. That is just the main thing. It's just like, oh God, why did you take that from me? But I know God doesn't take us from anything. He opens the door into other things.
Yeah,
But that was just one of the most amazing experiences of my life. I mean, it was an over the road trucker. So I mean,
yeah,
I drove pretty much. I live in South Texas, so I mean, anything from South Texas all the way up to Chicago eastward. I mean, there wasn't a state that I hadn't been in, and anything from probably about Rhode Island northward. I didn't go anywhere up there, but anything into those states, I've been in one of those states, and it was just an amazing scenery and everything. It's just so beautiful that God took me through, and it's just a lot of stuff that I add to what I write, and it's just so amazing and beautiful, and just a lot of the on the road experience that even adds to my writing, and it's just
yeah.
amazing.
Yeah, I was just thinking because you write from experiences and that kind of thing. So
Mm-hmm.
I was thinking that would really tie in well with
Yeah, the
with your
dreams,
books.
experience, seeing the thing is just, oh wow.
Yeah. So then dealing with your seizures now, how has that impacted your life? And more importantly, how has it impacted your walk with God?
It's allowed me to take life a lot more seriously. And it's kind of made me just take a step back and even taking God more seriously, because we rush through life so much and so quickly, and kind of an attention getter. And well, at that end, it's just also that I see a lot of people look at me weird when I tell them this, that I see almost my seizures as a blessing from God. And that's kind of a weird thing to say, because it opened the door, because like we were just talking about a moment ago, I've always wanted to be a writer. God opened that door for me to be a writer through giving me epilepsy. And just, I mean, another thing, I mean, I'm home all the time. I'm able to be with my family. I was an on-the-road trucker for 3 years, and it's just like I missed so many things with my family. There was so much that I missed. And it's like, and I said, I love being on the road, seeing everything. And it's like, it was beautiful, but yet I miss the beauty of my family. And now I get to see the beauty of my family home every day. And I'm stay-at-home dad, stay-at-home father, stay-at-home husband. And that's my job now. And I get to be home and the house husband and the house father and the house. And that's my job now. I clean the house and I cook dinner, and I'm home for one of my kids and my wife, and I cook dinner, and it's just like I that's one of the things that I see as a blessing. And although, I mean, I deal with occasional seizures, I don't get them as much very often. I get a seizure probably once every 2 or 3 months, but I feel that it's a decent price to pay for being able to see my family all the time and be able to dive into the gift and the blessing and the calling that God's giving me to write all the time. So, yeah.
Yeah. So would you say that's made you a stronger person both in faith and in terms of your regular life?
Yes. I mean, yeah, just to see that, I mean, realizing that God answers prayer and calling. Yeah. I mean, we got to be careful what we pray for, because God's going to give it to us. Even though God answers it in weird ways sometimes. I mean, because you got to be careful. I mean, yeah, okay, God, yeah, I that's your answer. What I pray for, yeah. So we got to be careful for what we pray for, because God's going to give it to us sometimes. Yeah.
Yeah, I've had a few pastors say, don't ever ask for God to give you patience, because if you do,
Yes.
you're in for
Yeah.
a whirlwind.
Yeah.
And so if you could give one piece of advice to people who are either dealing with epilepsy or aspiring writers, what would that be?
Well, for both of them, take it one day at a time. I mean, because I mean that's just even for everybody. I mean, that's not only for absolutely our riders. It's just taking one day at a time. That's something that God's dealing with me right now. It's just something that I've been struggling with. I mean, I almost not necessarily depressed for the last just week or so of my life. It's just that so much time we're looking forward. I mean, we're planning, making plans, looking to the next week, the next month, the next year. Uh, it's just that take your life one day at a time. I mean, God's given us so much, and He's blessed us so much. But I mean, if we're looking forward, and I mean, I'm looking like I was telling you earlier, my book release is supposed to be happening within the next couple of weeks, and I keep on looking to that date. But yet, God's just like, dude, I mean, you've got today, you've got tomorrow. I mean, you got to look to what's going on right now. I've given you today. What's happening in your life today? What are you doing today to glorify me? What are you doing today to help that person next to you? What are you doing today? And that's something that so much of us neglect. I mean, rather it be whatever the gift He's given me for writing, the gift He's giving me of the next breath. What am I doing today to glorify Him? Not what am I going to be doing next week? And that's what a lot of us so much overlook. And that's what I encourage everybody, I encourage your listeners to take a look at. What are you doing today to glorify God?
Yeah, I think that is very important, because we are here for God's glory, and everything we do should be a reflection of that. So do you have any final thoughts before we sign off here?
I think that pretty much summed it up. I mean, what are you doing today? I mean, stuff looking to the future. I mean, yeah, we need to make plans for the future, but always understand that God controls your next breath. God controls what's going to happen, and we need to stop looking so much and holding on to what's going on, and we just need to be mindful of that and be mindful of who we have around us. And that's another thing that I need to take mind of my wife, my kids. Take that moment to love them and hug them and kiss them, and before they leave every morning, and because you never know what the next minute's going to bring.
Yeah, I think that sums up life very, very well in terms of how we should be living our lives. So thank you for coming on here.
Thank you for having me.
I'll probably have you back on here to talk about your next book here in the future. But yeah, great conversation. So thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Well, I have just been blessed with so many people who are requesting to be on the show, and I'm impressed with how many people want to share their testimonies or what they're doing for the Lord right now. If I haven't got back to you, I promise I will get back to you. I look forward to speaking with each of you and interviewing you, and keep tuning into the show. There's lots of new people that are coming on here, and if you're considering wanting to come on the show, just shoot me an email at tpeters745@gmail.com, and I will get back to you.